Skip it up and that up. Ooh, them resolutions. They're back. Yeah, I know yesterday I said I was tired of talking about them, but this is kind of interesting, and it makes me put some theories together in my head as to why this is happening. So Call of Duty Ghosts for the PS4, we know that now it's going to be 1080p, not upscaled, rendered in native 1080p on the PlayStation 4, and Sony's, has their metaphorical schlong getting smacked around in Microsoft's face saying, haha, we're 1080p. Shuhei Yoshida's going on record saying 1080p is better, it makes you a better gamer, so on and so forth. Well, now this is the exact opposite of what I heard. The single-player campaign in Call of Duty Ghosts, if you don't download the day one patch for the PS4, is 720p. The multiplayer out of the box, even if you don't download a patch for the PlayStation 4 version of Call of Duty Ghosts, will be in 1080p. So if you don't update the game, Call of Duty Ghosts, the single-player campaign, again for the PlayStation 4, will be 720p for the PS4, and the multiplayer will be 1080p. Then when you download the patch, which of course as soon as you put the disc in your system, it'll tell you to do so, both the single player and multiplayer will be in 1080p, which that is weird, man. Alright, so no little birdies who are under non-disclosure agreements told me this one. This is coming from GameSpot. There was other articles talking about this too today, so it's verified. What's weird to me is you would think it would have been vice versa. You would think you would want the lower resolution for multiplayer to make sure the frame rate stays smoother because it gives you that competitive edge. And, 1080p for the single player because who gives a shit? You have the better visuals, and if the frame rate drops to like 40 frames per second when there's a bunch of explosions going on, who gives a shit? This is the exact opposite. So that to me is strange, first off. Secondly, what I'm thinking is Sony is riding this 1080p wave really hard. And you know what? They do have more 1080p games than Microsoft does. So, here's my metaphorical golf clap to them. Yes, the word of the day, or at least for this video, is metaphorical. But I almost feel like Sony went to Activision and said, hey, come on, make that 1080p. 1080p. I don't care if the frame rate drops here and there. 1080p. Come on, make it 1080p. Mostly everything else to Battlefield we got is 1080p. Come on. 1080p COD. Do it. You can do it. It's like I almost feel like Sony pressured Activision because they want to be the 1080p console for, the next gen, and everyone could say, hey, I'm playing my games in 1080p. So I have a feeling that may have happened too, and I'm hearing, and this could be wrong, I'm hearing that the PlayStation 4 version of COD has a couple more frame rate issues than the Xbox One, but we'll wait and see. In almost 24 hours from now, I'm going to have a PS4 in my hand, which better be working, but that's a whole other video that I'm going to be doing with Tony Steeman later tonight, because there's some PS4s that people are receiving right now, and they're bricked or not working. Kotaku got one, but anyway, different story for a different video. I'm going to be talking with Tony about that later. So, interesting stuff. I know I talked about resolution again. I just have this gut feeling, and I have a large gut and it's hairy, that Sony is kind of pressuring companies to make games 1080p. I know there's a couple out there, like I said, Battlefield 4 is 1600 by 900, but they're trying to have as many notches under their belt of having native 1080p games. That's what I feel, because it's working for them. I mean, look how many articles and people are talking about the fact that Sony has more 1080p games, and the hype train is working for them. It's making people excited for the console, which in turn will turn into sales. So it's not really a conspiracy theory to think that Sony may have pressured Activision into doing this. I mean, think about it. It makes them more money. All right, guys, so what's your take on this whole 1080p PS4 patch for Call of Duty Ghosts? Do you think it was something done at the last minute so Sony could say they have a 1080p version of a Call of Duty game? Let me know what you think. So make sure to rate, comment, favorite, and subscribe. And as always, thank you for supporting Review Tech USA. Have a good one.